Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Today we're going to talk about food preservation. So let's take a look. Now it doesn't matter how much you grow in your garden. If you can't preserve it to where you can use it, then it's just going to be wasted. And garlic's one of those things. Now normally I would have preserved my garlic already. It's not going to matter. It's not too late to do that. What I'm doing is I'm taking care of my elephant garlic. I'm taking and I'm just peeling these up, putting the cloves in here. Now don't worry if you got a clove that has some mildew on it or something. Chances is it's just on the skin of it, but first you got to break them apart. Now you're going to come across some, if you've been growing garlic very long, they're not separated into cloves. They haven't stratified yet, and you'll have a solid piece of garlic. Now this is just as usable as the other. Now whenever I preserve this, which there's a lot of ways you can do it. You cut it up and freeze it. You can cut it up, dehydrate it, or you can freeze dry it, which is going to be a method we're going to use, because with our freeze dryer, as you know, we can do long-term storage. We can put this in Mylar, and when we have a bumper crop or a lot of extra, we can go ahead and preserve it so we can use it. Now most of this is elephant garlic, and you'll get some really big cloves of garlic. Now I have a fairly large hand, and you can tell this is a large clove of garlic. Now you can feel of these and it feels solid. That's a good sign. A lot of times if you don't cure these out well, and I'll put a link to curing these, if you don't cure them out well, a lot of times you'll have a lot of spoilage. Now we had a situation with our other garlic, and I'm not going to say which one this is, but these are pretty much really soft. And I'm going to break this open, and you can see that a lot of the garlic in here has rotted away. Now there went a clove, which was good still, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and keep these. What I think was part of my problem, I'm going to use these for seed. I'll throw out the bad ones. Now when you have one that's turned brown, and I'll use this as an example, and especially when they're soft and flexible, don't try to preserve these. You're wasting your time. Just chunk these out, but don't think that all of them in there is going to be that way. And this one here might just have a couple of good ones. Now you want to keep the bigger cloves whenever you're taking and preserving your garlic. I think there might be one more good one in here, but there are a few good ones, but most of these were bad. And I'm going to say what the situation was for this to happen. I put row cover on these, trying to protect them, trying to keep the greens in real good shape, and it actually affected this variety of garlic here. Some of this was Creole, some was some other kinds, and I won't go into hard neck, soft neck, stuff like that. But anyway, what happened was it didn't get that cold temperature like it really should have, and it kept a lot of extra moisture in there. So these, whenever they began to the point to where they should have been sending up scapes, which maybe just one or two of the whole row of these sent up scapes, I think it was because the fact that they didn't get that cool weather that they should have got. They did take and stratify into cloves, but when I kept waiting for the scapes, and I think that they stayed in the ground a little too long. And there's a lot of these in here that are not going to make the cut. They're just not going to make the cut. But I wanted you to be aware of that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish taking and separating these. I'm going to keep my biggest bulbs of garlic so I can replant them. I'm going to keep these little nodules that grow on there. I'm going to try something new this year. Last year I didn't have it very good germination on them, but what I'm doing is going through here and I'm picking out these smaller ones, and I'm going to save the bigger ones for seed. I want a lot more seed than I had last year, and so I planted quite a few more. And this is just stock that I save my seed each year and replant it. But anyway, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to sort, keep the big ones, separate the smaller ones, and then we'll show you an easy way to get these cleaned up so they can be chopped and put in the freeze dryer. Okay, I want to talk about some of these, this garlic when it's cured out. And if you look right here, you'll see this actually split out. Now, whenever you're curing garlic, you want to try to keep from splitting or taking off all this outside skin. Now, sometimes when the moisture content's high, because normally you try to harvest your garlic when the moisture is lower, but sometimes that's not practical. And when it's high and then it's in and it's really dry temperature, I keep a little fan in my shop when I'm curing this out that runs during the daytime. But it'll dry these skins and they'll split. Now, don't think your garlic's going to be ruined, because you can look and see these cloves are good. Now, I'm not going to break these apart because these are some bigger ones, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these for some of my seed for next year, but unless I have too many, and then I'll go ahead and take care of them. But what I'm going to do is just put these aside. And like I say, I'm working on first is the smaller garlic to take and separate it. Now with elephant garlic, you've got big cloves. You know, even the smaller ones are going to have good big size cloves. The bigger ones will, well, you'll see they're actually going to be even bigger, but not like other garlic where you've got a lot of small cloves. And we're just going to continue to do this, and we're going to catch as many of these nodules as possible. Like say, I don't know how they'll do this year, but I'm not going to give up just because I had failure one time. But you can see how big these cloves are. And another thing I'm going to say, when you do recipes, you need to learn how to cook more with flavor and understand. People say elephant garlic isn't true garlic. They say it's a leek. Elephant garlic is a little milder than other garlic. But if you have a recipe says to use a clove of garlic, you need to use some type of thought process behind that, because you know you have all different size cloves, so you're going to have to decide how to do that when you're cooking. That's one thing that's important. And know the garlic that you're planting, because we'll go through here and we're picking cloves, and if we said one, which would it be, this one or this one? That's just a little extra knowledge there. But when you preserve this and it's chopped up and your recipe calls for a clove, now I decide how much garlic I want in, and I know pretty much the flavor that this elephant garlic's going to have. So when it comes time to cook it, I'll use a certain amount of it. You know, whether it's a tablespoon, a teaspoon, depending on what I'm cooking, to how much I'm going to use. But I'm going to continue to go through here and get the rest of these separated, and looks like we're going to have a pretty good bit of garlic here to freeze dry, which will be great, because if we get enough put back, or a lot put back, then when it comes time for the farmer's market next year, and if we have good crop, then we'll have some that we can share at the farmer's market. Now that we've got these few garlic done up and a little over half a bushel, or half of a bushel, quarter bushel, a little over a quarter bushel, maybe 2/3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to prepare these. And the way that we prepare these, first we get a knife that's sharp enough that it's not going to be hazardous to use, because we definitely don't want to cut ourselves. We're going to cut the ends off of these. And we'll get a few of these, and we'll just cut these ends, just throw those to the side. We don't want the, it doesn't matter the top. I don't know why I cut that one off, but we want to cut the root off is the part that we don't want on here. We want to get rid of it. And I'm going to continue cutting these up till we get a few of them. And that'll be pretty good for a moment. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this jar and we're just going to put these in here, and it wouldn't hurt to have more in here, but we'll let this be enough. Put this lid on here, highly technical, and we're just going to throw these around in here, let them bounce around. Now I do like a bigger jar when I do this, but this will work out fine. We'll just shake these around a little bit, and then what we're going to do is we'll take them out. Now most of these will be like this. They'll just be good and clear of skin. It just take it loose, and we're going to continue. Now you might have to clean a little bit off, and of course we'll have to wash these anyway, but we'll take and so it might be easy just to rub the knife against it. And we're going to continue until we get this whole batch done. When you're preparing your cloves, it doesn't matter. Now if you see one that's dark, don't think that it's bad. You can see that's just the same color inside as one of these others. A lot of times the skin will turn brown on the outside the longer it cures. It doesn't even matter if it's really dark. It's still it's just the skin. What they say, beauty's just skin deep, but it's still nice on the inside. Just thought I'd let you know. Here we have all our garlic chopped up and in the trays, and it's in the freezer. These are pre-frozen. We're fixing to put them in the freeze dryer. And there we go. There's the last one. And I can tell you, if we had smell-o-vision, you would definitely smell garlic. So now we're going to close this up. We are going to close the drain, and it's just as simple as hit continue. And there she goes. It's going to start freezing. When you pre-freeze things, if you have a way to put it in your freezer and pre-freeze them, it really saves you some time when it comes to freeze drying, because you don't have to wait for it. It's, as you can tell, it's going down fairly quick on the temperature. It's already dropped a few degrees, and that'll really save you some time when it comes freezing. So we'll let this finish up, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, about 29 hours later, we have some nice dry garlic. Now we're just going to put this in the bottles. And there we go. 12 pints of garlic, all labeled, ready to go on the shelf. And this ought to be plenty enough to get us through till the next season. But anyway, I hope this video is helpful to you. If you want to see more, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified, and give it a big thumbs up. Share this video. Happy gardening.